So Tjitze, you've told us how you were trained to be a healer by Barbara Brennan, or Barbara Brennan as some people know her, the author of two outstanding books, one might say, Hands of Light and Light Emerging. Can you tell us a little bit about Barbara, for those who may not have heard of her and may not have read her books, and why she is or was for you, let's say, such a good teacher or mentor?
Basically, she's a scientist, and what I find so striking about Barbara and what she has done and has achieved is to build that bridge between the scientific and the esoteric, between the scientific and the energetic, between the science and the subtle realms. And the way she has done that, and the way she has been able to write about that, and the way she has been able to teach this has not been equaled by anyone as far as I know. She's got a PhD in atmospheric physics. She worked for NASA Houston for about 20 years, so NASA Houston, totally scientific, yeah. Until at some point she realized that she describes that, I think, in the book Hands of Light, which is still a standard work in this whole energetic healing phenomenon. How she at some point, when she was lying in bed, she could see inside her husband's body. And she thought, what? Suddenly it dawned on her what she actually saw, and then she discovered that she started to develop it more, and really started to fine-tune her visual high sense perception. So that means that also her books, Hands of Light and Light Emerging, are written very much from the visual high sense perception. Yeah. So that's often, quite often, when people read these books, that they want to aim for, that they can also see the same phenomenon, the same depth, the same detail, but that doesn't work for individuals because it might not be their thing. It was Barbara's thing, and every individual has got their own way of accessing their extrasensory perception. So Barbara developed that.
So is this like a psychic phenomenon?
Yeah.
Is it like she has in a sense, a psychic ability to see beyond the physical?
Yeah. And so have you.
Right.
So
has everyone.
So has everyone.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then again, she developed it more, started to draw things, started to write around this, started to teach it. So that's how the whole Barbara Brennan School of Healing started, in her own house on Long Island, just the same as I do now. But okay, that became bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and also students from all over the world came, and she has been really very, very strong in holding that bridge, as I said before, between the esoteric and the subtle realms on the one hand, and the scientific. So if she talks science, she really can talk everybody on the table. If she talks esoterics, she can talk everybody on the table. And that combination is really phenomenal. The lectures that she gave at school, the healings that she performed on stage in front of class, in front of all these hundreds of students, and the immaculate extrasensory perception that she performed in front of us was just mind-blowing, really, really mind-blowing. Yeah. So I have a deep respect for the dedication that she had to her work, and that respect will never fade, because she really opened up a huge new paradigm, together with people like Rosalind Briere and John Pirakos and the whole the path work in Phoenicia, Arizona, all this kind of phenomena that made a real impact on the development of complementary therapy, basically, in the whole world.
Now we've heard, and my understanding is that even way before Barbara, there were people called faith healers, spiritual healers maybe. So healing does go back a long way in that sense. What would you say then is the distinction, if any, between those sort of modalities and what Barbara came along with and what you're doing now?
to a certain extent, there might not be a distinction, because that kind of old-fashioned kind of faith healing, which has been going on as long as humanity exists, yeah. Because what kind of healing capacities did people have on Atlantis? Ha! Way beyond what we have now. Way beyond, yeah.
Right.
So we can go and go and go beyond. But basically, what Barbara did and how she could describe it so well, and she could write about it in such clear language and teach it in such common language, was that she made it accessible. She made it approachable. She developed techniques so that everybody can sense, see, feel these kind of normally not sensible phenomena. Yeah? And that, through that, she opened up this whole world of faith healing, which is quite often so ungraspable. Yeah? She could open it up to a whole system of healing techniques around it. And through her immaculate visual high sense perception, and through her contact with her guides, her guide Hayawan in particular, she could basically define the aura into our energy field around our human body into 7 different distinct layers. And that also every organ has got such an aura of 7 layers. Also every chakra, every energy point in our body, energy vortex in our body, has got these 7 distinct 7 layers. So through every layer of that aura, of the energy field, there's a different healing technique developed around every level of the aura, which is a kind of precision in there where the scientist comes back in. Yeah? And that precision of science combined with that previously vague faith healing is mind-blowing. And she's been extremely instrumental in bringing these two together. And that has been from day one, as soon as I met her, when I did this introduction weekend in Denver, I thought, wow, this is my life. This is what I need to do. This is what I am already doing, in a way.
Tjitze, how does what you do differ from what a medical doctor does, let's say?
Well, then we can get into controversial language, because medical doctors, first and foremost, are extremely important for our health and our health care and whatever else. They have equipment, medication, also centuries, if not millennia, of experience behind them, yeah, upon which all their teachings are based. So they have a very vital, very big and very important role in our society. Absolutely, first and foremost, before we get into whatever. The medical approach is basically only based upon evidence. Scientific, laboratory evidence, and evidence of certain tests amongst a certain number of a group of people, and what is the outcome for that medication, what is the outcome for that treatment, etc., etc. So that's how medication and the success of medication in the medical world is being defined. Yeah. So these kind of scientific tests and experiments. And because it is so scientific, it can easily be described. It can be put into language, it can be put into words, it can be put into formula, etc., etc. Our work is much more vague. Although Barbara has written a lot about that and has written a lot about that in detail, still what happens during an individual session quite often is so ungraspable, and we as healers have done our own language and lingo and verbal expressions around that, which is quite often gobbledygook for the normal listener. You might think, oh my god, that sounds too weird, that sounds too wacky. But then again, if it works, it works. And most of the time the medical profession, what they do works, fortunately. And most of the time what people like myself, healers, do works. Yeah? And what I would wish and strive for is again the same what Barbara did, the bridging of that of the scientific and the esoteric realm. And of course I also would love to bridge the medical world and our world, because they have so much knowledge at their fingertips which we don't have, and we have so much knowledge and experience at our fingertips which they don't have. So therefore that would be my wish.
Is it fair to say that that what you do is working with energy, or more with energy, or working with mind, body and spirit, one might say, as opposed to, when I'm generalizing here, as opposed to the medical profession, which is working mainly with the physical body, maybe working on a mental level as well, of course, but doesn't, as I understand it, or rarely works with the sort of spiritual element.
No.
Is that the key difference, and how does that manifest in what you do?
That is indeed one of the differences, where the spiritual is not being included at all in the medical world. Also, hardly ever the emotional world of the client. Yeah. And if we then come to that statement that 90%, if not 95%, if not 100%, of all illnesses is psychosomatic, yeah, psychological, somatic, physical, yeah. So the psychological impact, the emotional impact, and the mental impact is vital in the development of any illness. Is therefore also vital in the development of any healing after illness. And that is a section, that is the part where the medical profession, in my experience, totally fails and remains a closed book. Because the world again of mind, emotion and spirit, most of the time cannot be defined and cannot be written about it easily, cannot be measured that easily, cannot be scientifically proven that easily. And with that scientifically proven and medically proven paradigm in which the medical world works, these kind of sections are being excluded. And that's where a lot of our emphasis lies. Because if again, to repeat that, if 90%, 95%, 100% of illnesses are psychosomatic, then the healing also lies in the psyche and in the emotion and in the mental mindset and programming and conditioning of the client, and in the spiritual connection or disconnection of the client. And that's where mind, body, spirit and emotion really come together for me.
Indeed, A Course in Miracles actually goes further than that and says that all illness or disease starts in the mind, which is quite a strong statement. So I'm not quite sure what the 5% is that you're thinking of between the 95. Is that definable?
No, I don't think it's definable, and it might be 95%, as I said, it might be 90%, it might be 100% of all illnesses. It might be that all illnesses are psychosomatic, absolutely, yeah. And when Course in Miracles said that all illness starts in the mind, I don't agree, because for me, and that's also what Barbara teaches, all illness starts with a disconnection from spirit, a disconnection from the eternal truth through which we live, through which we incarnate, through which we are connected with the divine, bringing the divine through our crown chakra, our highest chakra, no, not the highest chakra, but the crown chakra, 7th chakra, into our body and onto the earth. If any of that connection between spirit and earth, through earth, is being disconnected, is being interrupted, then indeed the disconnection can start from spirit, and then indeed in the long run illness can increase.
So when a client comes to you, Tjitze, and really whatever the presenting problem is, I mean, where do you start? You start, as I understand it, in the energy field, not at looking at someone's leg necessarily, or their head if they've got a headache, or how does that work? Because that seemed to me to be quite distinguishable from what you might expect from a medical examination.
what I start with is listening. I do an intake first with a client, ask the questions, the medical history, they present the complaint at this very moment in time, why they wish to have a session, and how I can best serve them.
Mm.
And then I listen to the words they speak, simple, and I write these words down to a certain extent, yeah, so I can refer back to them. But I mainly listen to what is not being said, to the intonation behind the words, to the emotion behind the words, to the way they express themselves, and I listen also with my eyes to watch closely the body language. How do they sit? How do they move? How do they expand in relaxation or contract when things come a little bit too close, when my question goes a little bit deeper than what they had prepared for? And I watch them closely with what I've learned at the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. I watch closely with my extrasensory perception and watch the fluctuations in the aura, in the energy field, and in the chakras, in the energy points. And basically, people can easily speak untruths, beknown or unbeknown to themselves, and put a mask on and make themselves better or cleverer than they basically are, make themselves show more courage than they actually have, yeah. People can learn a certain way of talking physically. They can learn to adapt to body language so they come over very convincingly to the listener,
Yes.
yeah. People cannot influence their energy body. So what the energy body,
Body
the
doesn't
chakras-
lie, as they say.
the energy body doesn't lie. The physical body can still lie. And lying is a strong word. People don't necessarily come here to a treatment to lie. Yeah? But they hide, they're a bit shy, that kind of stuff. Yeah? Simple. They don't come here to lie.
But the point is, the energy field reveals the truth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 So when the client sits opposite me and they say a certain things and suddenly their heart chakra, their heart center expands, I notice that. And I simply ask them a question. What do you feel at the moment in your heart? To make them aware of what's happening, which they might be aware of, which they might not be aware of. Yeah. So then also that brings them close to themselves, gets them to a space of listening to themselves, and gets them all to also to a space of having responsibility for themselves, because they sense themselves. Yeah? And that's again, back to one of your previous questions, Glenn, about difference between medical world and what we do.
Yeah.
Medical world, in the medical profession, people often make themselves dependent on the medical staff, the medical procedure, the medical medication, yeah? Where I really try my utmost best for clients and students alike to keep them self-responsible. And for them to be able to listen also to themselves is very important in that realm.
I want to ask you quickly, Tjitze, just in case there are people watching who are not entirely au fait with the aura and the chakra system, if you could just give us a sort of noddy's guide to the aura and the chakra system, so that everyone here listening is actually clear as to what you're describing and talking about.
The aura basically is an energy field around our physical bodies.
So it's like the sort of aura that you see around the candle flame, that sort of thing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And basically, in essence, the aura exists before our physical body.
And everyone has got this aura.
Everyone
there's
has
no
got
question.
an aura. Whether you like it or not, you've got one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. And an energy body basically functions as a buffer zone between the world around us and our own physical self.
Right.
So it can, in a certain way, if the aura is very strong and big and healthy and vibrant, then it can really support us in keeping bad energies out and work as a filter, basically. Yeah. The chakra system, we have hundreds of chakras. Yeah. A chakra is a Sanskrit word meaning wheel of light, and basically wheels, as the Greek invented, yeah, the wheels turn. And also a chakra, in its ideal form, is a turning, spiraling vortex of energy, where energy in its ideal form comes from the universal energy field all around us into our energy body, into our aura, and into our physical body. So our chakras, and when we work on chakras, we mainly refer to the 7 main chakras of crown, brow, throat, heart, solar plexus, pubic center, and the root. The chakra, therefore, feeds the energy body and feeds the physical body with vital life force energy. If a chakra is distorted in its function through whatever reason, and there are a million reasons that are basically 7 billion reasons how these chakras can get distorted.
Right.
When these chakras are being distorted, there is less of that vital energy coming into our body, and if that happens over a short period of time, nay bother. But if that is long-term the case, then that physical part of the body, say 3rd chakra, digestive system, solar plexus, then in the long run people can get indeed digestive problems. If the 3rd chakra is misaligned, if it's not open, is not spiraling, functioning properly.
Right. Okay.
That's the basics of chakra and aura, and there's 1,000 more things I can say about that.
Now, most people, as I understand it, can't actually see their chakras, although they may be able to sense them. But can you just tell us what a normal functioning chakra in general terms looks like?
Happy.
Great answer.
Happy. Because they're spinning, they're spiraling, they're moving, they're full of vibrancy, full of light, full of life. Yeah? And basically we as human beings are also happy human beings, unless something gets distorted. The chakra reflects that. If you look at a fully healthy functioning chakra spiraling clockwise to get the energy into our physical body, it is basically a vortex of happy, colorful, bright light and energy.
Right. And each of the main chakras has a distinct or separate color, is that right?
Yeah.
When it's fully functioning.
So basically the crown chakra is golden white, the brow chakra is indigo, very like a night sky, very dark purple, deep purple like the rock band.
Right. Yes.
The 5th chakra is beautifully bright blue, 4th chakra is green, 3rd chakra, solar plexus, is yellow, 2nd chakra, pubic center, is orange, and the 1st chakra is red.
Right. Okay. Now, you also work, as I understand it, we spoke, or you spoke earlier about spirit, but you work with spirit guides when you conduct these healings. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, that is fascinating. And the longer I work, the longer I do this work, the more intimate and the more close and the more significant that contact becomes with the guides. And and coming from this very simple, straightforward, down-to-earth farming background in the Netherlands, I had to basically overcome a lot of cynicism and sarcasm and all that non-belief stuff in myself to indeed allow myself to take all this stuff serious. Because I didn't believe in that stuff, and still I lived in Vindhorn after a while, and But I will never forget that one moment in the 3rd year of the Barbara Brennan School of Healing, when we basically were taught, again one of these techniques that Barbara taught, how to access that stuff, which is phenomenal, where we worked in triads, 3 people, and each of us had a few minutes to indeed connect with the spirit guides through a certain breathing technique, through a certain opening of the 5th chakra, and feel that entering our physical body. And my God, when I felt that so consciously, it was just absolutely mind-boggling and mind-blowing and awesome. That experience, to feel that literally in my own physical body coming in. And I was just stood there in awe, just grounded solidly in body, until somebody put a hand on my arm and I said to them, no, I'm totally okay, I'm fine. No, but your time is up. What? My time is up. How can time be up in such a spiritual bliss level? Yeah, that kind of discrepancy. They didn't. Yeah, but my God, Glenn, that experience was just mind blowing. Yeah, and now it is so normal to just have guides come in and come through and then work through my fingers and do the operations with clients and it's fascinating stuff. It's
wonderful.
fascinating
We'll come back to that if I may. Let me just ask you, because you said earlier that everyone has an aura.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, presumably, everyone has chakras, a chakra system as well.
Yeah.
Does everyone have spirit guides?
Of course, absolutely. And they hold you safe, and they warn you, and they might gently nudge you in the right direction, or sometimes kick you a bit in the right direction. But most people are not aware of it. And basically, a lot of people also don't want to obey them. Yeah? Because they might nudge you in a way that doesn't fit with society's norm, so you can become an outcast. Yeah? But the fun thing is about an outcast is outcast somewhere, but incast somewhere else. But people forget the latter. Yeah? They're always incast somewhere else. So, the spirit guides might invite you to take a certain set of decisions, to walk a life path, to open a door which you have never dreamt of before, which might sound too weird or too big or too all-encompassing to contemplate. So people often shy away from that. Yeah, people so often, Glenn, shy away from their potential and hold themselves small. And that is one of my passions of this teaching Bodies of Light, the 10-month healing course here, to get people more into their potential, to get people more open to what is actually working for them and how they can develop that within themselves, not through me. They need to remain independent, but through themselves. And then, bit by bit, over these months, when the students come back these 7 times, see that whole self-limitation slowly falling by the wayside. Slowly falling by the wayside. Where the whole mindset and the concept of who and what they are and what they are capable of slowly starts to widen. Correct. Bingo. Fun.
Beautiful, beautiful. In the next session, we'll talk a little bit about how your healing helps to awaken and to, if you like, open the door to that greater potential. For the moment, and thank you very much, Tjitze.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you.